Okay, thank you. My name is Angie Neely Sardone. I'm a reference librarian and instructor at Indian River State College. I am located on the Mueller campus in Vero Beach. And I want to welcome you all and thank you for coming to this session. We're going to be talking about our practice citing sources with MLA style 8th edition. So there I am. I've got my email address here and the web address for our LibGuide. A lot of the resources I'm talking about, well, all of them really, are available on the LibGuide. So please have a look there, irsc.libguides.com/MLA. And my email address is there too. If you have any questions, I definitely welcome them. I wanted to start off by talking about the impetus for creating this practice that we're calling Citing Sources with MLA Style 8th Edition. In 2016, the Modern Language Association of America published the MLA Handbook 8th Edition. The handbook notes that the 8th edition brings one of the greatest shifts ever. It is a major overhaul of the citation style because it changes the theoretical approach to citing sources. In the previous 7th edition, the way we were meant to describe a source was dependent on the type of source. The 8th edition moves to a new universal approach based on the assumption that all sources, regardless of their medium, can be described by the same basic qualities or core elements. English and literature courses at Indian River State College constitute the bulk of our information literacy one-shot instruction session opportunities. Since MLA style is used in these courses, IRSC librarians quickly developed a suite of resources to help the instructional faculty, tutors, and students transition to the new citation style rules. I made the MLA style guide LibGuide in the summer of 2016, but as a team, we've expanded this project to include a lot more than just the LibGuide. We've continued to update and add new resources throughout 2018, and we will continue to do so. As we've created resources, learning objects, and lessons plans as part of the larger project, the ACRL framework has informed this practice. The frame Information Value and its knowledge practice, learners who are developing their information literate abilities give credit to the original ideas of others through proper attribution and citation, and the frame Scholarship as Conversation and its knowledge practice cite the contributing work of others in their own information production, function as the learning objectives for this practice as students join the scholarly conversation by reading, analyzing, and interpreting works. At IRSC, we were relatively early adopters of the new edition. When I was creating the LibGuide in the summer of 2016, the Purdue OWL was still on the 7th edition. The databases had not yet updated their citation tools to the 8th edition, and there really was not a whole lot out there on the internet yet. We relied heavily on the MLA handbook itself and the resources on the MLA Style Center website at style.mla.org. I'm going to assume that I'm speaking to a room full of librarians, so I won't belabor the point on this slide too much, but here are the core elements. This is the crux of the universal approach to sources that's laid out in the 8th edition. The idea is that no matter the medium of the source, all sources can be described by the same core elements. So those are creator, a title of the place where the source was found or contained, noting any other relevant contributors other than the creator, the version, which is essentially the edition or a director's cut or something like that, the number, which is going to be volume and issue primarily, the publisher, the date it was created, and the location where it can be found online or within a book. Okay, I don't know if this slide is working out too well. Hopefully you can see, or maybe it looks better on your screens than on mine. I've broken the practice into 4 parts for the purposes of our discussion today. I'm going to talk in detail about each one of them. The parts of the practice are the MLA Style Guide LibGuide, professional development sessions, learning objects, and the online paper review service. So there's the MLA Style Guide LibGuide. This was the first part of the practice, and there's the URL there again. Similar to the Purdue OWL and the kinds of style guides you might find at other institutions, it's in that same vein. It has several pages explaining the rules of the style guide. It's also where we stored all of our learning objects, presentations, templates. All of that is there on that LibGuide. So in addition to explaining the guide and the major differences from the 7th edition and each of the core elements, there are pages of examples that students can use. Even though the update is supposed to be universal, the citations do look different based on the source type. So we thought that providing example citations for popular source types and common in-text scenarios would be helpful. The other part of it is downloadable templates. They're downloadable Microsoft Word templates. There's one for an MLA style research paper and one for an annotated bibliography. The formatting is already completely set up for them. All they have to do is download it and enter their information where the placeholder information is. So that can be a huge time saver for students and allow them to focus their efforts on the content of their papers rather than the intricacies of formatting a paper in Word. So this is a screenshot of one page of the LibGuide. This is from the section on the core elements. There's a page for each core element explaining what it is, and then you can't see it here, but below there are examples illustrating this particular core element, which is the author. This is a screenshot of one of the example pages. I've got an example page for each major category of source. So this is a page showing examples of books with personal authors. This is the downloadable template for the MLA style research paper. You can see the formatting is already set up for them. They've just got to put their own information in, so the formatting is ready to go according to the style, with the header, the heading, the 1-inch margins on each side, the correct font, correct spacing, paper title, works cited page with the hanging indents. It's all set up for them. So since we started the MLA LibGuide in the summer of 2016, we have had 1,387,464 views as of February 21st. This is just a breakdown of the views by academic year. 2016-17 was basically a full year because we launched and published the LibGuide in August 10th of 2016, and you can see that the usage is increasing quite a bit each year. This year, as of February 14th, we've already had 643,195 views. Okay, this brings us to the second part, the professional development sessions. My colleague Kendra Auberry and I put together a training session for faculty, adjunct faculty, and tutors. We called it the Crash Course in the New MLA Style, and took that out on the road in spring 2017. We presented it 4 times at various campuses. We marketed it through our college's Institute for Academic Excellence. The director of our institute, Dr. Jody Robeson, she's very supportive of the libraries and allowed us to offer a session in her space on the main campus. She helped us promote it throughout the college as a professional development opportunity. The sessions were well attended and we got a good bit of positive feedback. We predominantly worked through a Prezi that you can see on the LibGuide. We provided the attendees with some learning objects. We wanted them to be able to use them right away in their own learning and then when working with students as well. We left plenty of time for questions during the sessions. The audience at our sessions were primarily writing and English tutors and faculty, so they were already really familiar with MLA style, just the previous edition. So we spent some time highlighting the major changes from the 7th edition to the 8th edition, which I think was beneficial because we provided a theoretical basis for the major shift as outlined in the handbook, but then we also provided practical information so they could see the difference between an old citation and a new one. The third part of the practice consists of the learning objects that we made. We've created several of these since 2016, and we're adding new ones all the time. I want to be sure to say that the creation of the learning objects is definitely a group effort by the entire IRC librarians team. Some of the ones I'm going to show you here in particular were created by Mia Tignor, Kendra Auberry, and Brett Williams at IRC. Again, all of these are available on the LibGuide if anybody is interested. And feel free to reuse anything that you think would be beneficial at your institution. So here, this is from the quick guide that we had. This part that you're looking at right now is the MLA Works Cited core elements. The quick guide itself is a one-sheet, front and back, printed out handout. We have the PDF on the LibGuide as well, but we are just handing these out like crazy. We have stacks of them in every library. It's something that our tutors in particular really wanted. They wanted something that covered the basics that they could hand out to students and they could work with students off of this quick guide. So Kendra spent a lot of time getting this to look just right in Publisher, so definitely go by the LibGuide and have a look at it. So we're happy with how it turned out, and it's proved to be really useful in working with students. So on the front of this sheet, there's background information about the citation style and why you would use it and for which courses you would use it. There's a box that addresses the major changes from the 7th edition, and then there's this chart here showing the core elements with a short explanation of each one and the order that they go in. The back of the sheet is primarily examples. We provided an example in-text and works cited citation for what we felt are the 5 most commonly cited source types for our students. So that's a book with a personal author, an ebook, a portion of a book, and for that we used a reading from our ENC 1102 textbook as the example, a scholarly article from an online database, and a website. Okay, this learning object was created by Mia, and I believe she picked a chart to make it. This walks a student through how to paraphrase or quote correctly and accurately so that they can avoid plagiarism, and it shows how to do that in MLA style as far as where you put the citation, how it should be formatted. The period goes at the end, so that's a helpful reference for our students. This slide and the next one are screenshots from something else that Mia made, and this is from a Prezi. It's the What's in an MLA Citation Prezi. This takes a scholarly journal article and goes through step by step where to find the information that students need to create a works cited citation. So you can see this is from the part where it's showing that the author's last name is the first part of the citation, and it goes with the last name first. And then this shows where you might find it in a typical article. It's usually on the first page somewhere. So this goes through the entire citation step by step and shows where in the article they can find the information they need for creating the citation. This is a screenshot of a Kahoot quiz that Kendra made. We use this also in our professional development sessions. We had the tutors and the attendees who came do the Kahoot quiz with us, and we made it available for them to use if they would like to. I know Kendra continues to use it in some of her one-shot sessions, so it's a good interactive way to get the students to think about the new rules of the new MLA style. Don't know how well you guys can see this. I hope you can tell what we're looking at here. This is this and the next slide. These are photos of an in-person, face-to-face activity that I've tried in some of my one-shots for English and literature classes. It's a group activity. What I do is I've already, in my presentation during the one-shot session, I'll have already covered plagiarism and MLA style. Then I'll give each student a copy of the quick guide, which I mentioned earlier, and a blank MLA practice template, which you can see on the left there. And then I divide the students into teams, and I give each team a printout of the detailed record and the first and last page of a journal article from a database. And I ask them to refer to the LibGuide and the quick guide and work in teams to find the different components that they need to fill out the practice template. And when time permits, let's see the other one. Have an oversized notepad at the front of the room, and one representative from each team can go and write the complete citation with the correct punctuation and italics and all of that. And then that becomes a learning opportunity for everyone in the classroom to see how this looks across various journal articles. The double container thing is particularly tricky. I've noticed for students the first time around, which you can see here, it does have the container 1, container 2. So I like to walk around the room and help them with that. Now that the databases are up to date with the MLA style in the citation tool, this is maybe not quite as critical, but as I said, we had switched to this as an institution before that citation tool was ready to go. And it also makes mistakes, so it's good to know how to do it on your own from scratch. These next few slides show a tutorial on the LibGuide that asks students to watch or go through the what's in a citation Prezi first, and then it kind of walks them through the steps to create their cited citation. Okay, this is a learning object that I think is really cool, and it's also available on the LibGuide, as I think I've said about 10 times now. This gives students the opportunity to color, which everybody loves. I think it's been a big hit with them. It's essentially a matching activity, so they would color in the box next to the legend with a particular color, and they would color the corresponding piece of the citation shown with that same color. So that's just a kind of fun way to get them to learn the parts of the citation. Okay, so that brings us to the fourth and final part of the practice, which is also the newest part. This is the online paper review service. Again, it's on the LibGuide, and there's the URL to exactly which page it is. Alexis Carlson, who is my other colleague at IRST, she created and manages the APA LibGuide, which is a superstar effort in its own right. It's a very popular LibGuide. She started on there a submission where students can upload their paper for personalized feedback, and then she responds to them with her notes. And it was very well received, so I thought I should offer the same thing for MLA. So I started offering this in May 2018. What it is a SurveyMonkey form embedded in the LibGuide. The students upload their completed paper and provide their email address. I check their paper for MLA style formatting and their citations. I look particularly for areas of the paper which I think are probably missing citations, and I note that in my responses to the students to help them avoid accidental plagiarism. I don't correct the papers myself. I just provide them notes with personalized assistance and advice, and I often will copy and paste examples from the LibGuide so that they can look at that to match their citation with what is provided, and we'll often link them to videos and resources elsewhere online, often linking to the Microsoft Office page on how to make a hanging indent is a popular one that they need help with. I've found that this seems to be a useful service, particularly for distance learners, also for students who have work or other obligations during the library's operating hours. This will allow them to do this online, and also for shy students who would like to help from an expert but may feel uncomfortable asking for it in person. So here is a look at the online submission area. Again, this was made with SurveyMonkey. There's another view of it. And here is an example of an email that I sent in response to a submission. I like to divide it into notes on formatting, the in-text, and the works cited, and I'll link them to resources as appropriate. So I started the service, the online paper review service, in May, and 155 students, or some of them have been repeat customers, but I've sent personalized feedback to students 155 times so far. So that is all I had. That wraps it up for me. If you have any questions, feel free to, you can ask me now, or you can email me. I'm showing the LibGuide link again, and thanks Mia for putting that in the chat too. And just wanted to shout out again the rest of the IRC librarians team. It's really a group effort, so their names are there on the screen.
Well, thank you so much, Angie, for that very informative overlook of your efforts.
You're welcome.
Amazing. 8th edition was, in fact, a huge change. So people who have questions, especially nitty-gritty questions, please pop into the chat or raise your hand to let us know that you would like to ask a question. We've got a couple of minutes for questions, and then we'll move on to our next presenter.
I thought I saw some typing. Here we go. Oh, thank you, David.
We'll actually be sharing all of the PowerPoints on the conference LibGuide. They just haven't been uploaded yet because I haven't sent them to Brett.
Okay, awesome.
If anybody does not want to share their presentation, let me know. All right, well, we wait to see if anybody else has a question. I'm going to look at some credits here. Very nice.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
And say thank you to our sponsors. Once again, I have to do that. I'm contractually obligated. No, I'm not, but we do